mouse, cat and mouse. Which is the cat and which is the mouse?
I dare say you are wondering why I am floating around London like this. I am on the famous Thames River, investigating a murder. How do you like my tie? How do you like it?
I got the tie.
But you're my type of woman.
All right, man. We back up in there like swimwear.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. That kind of intro took me by surprise then at the end because of that one shot that just lingers.
Yeah, so if y'all seen Frenzy, that's such a disturbing thing that happens there, leaves a figure on imagination kind of thing. Because you see what happens earlier, and then he don't do it again. The next time we'll get into all that.
Yeah, we definitely will. This has been a long time coming, actually, Hitchcock.
Yeah, man.
And this is going to be like volume 1 because there's loads we want to watch as well.
There's a ton, man, that I need to seek out. I mean, I remember as a kid watching Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and that's really, first I heard about it because he cracked the little jokes and he had the dark humor, but there's way more to Hitch than that. To me, I think he's probably the most influential director of cinema in general.
He has to be. He has to be because we wouldn't really get the Giallo the way it is if it was. I think if it wasn't for or the Crimi, we wouldn't really get the slasher film if it wasn't for Psycho. To what it became. He has to be probably one of the greatest directors of all time. I think, everyone would agree to that.
Yeah, man. And I mean, he made 52 films, and I can't say that I've seen a bad film. Even probably his worst films are better than most,
easily as well. Yeah. I'm like ashamed to say I've only really probably seen about a fifth of his films.
Right.
I
still got loads to watch.
Because I think you haven't seen Spellbound, have you?
I haven't seen Spellbound. That's one I really want to see. I need to see Notorious.
The
Lodger, which is a silent film. Definitely want to see that.
There's Rebecca. There's The Lady Vanishes. They're all ones I want to, yeah. So Shadow of a Doubt, I think you'd like. I've seen that one. I think that's got like kind of a real horror element to it as well.
There's something I didn't mention earlier, man. We was on the Eurocult earlier on Dead Pit, and we were covering the New York Ripper, and I forgot to mention that. So I'm still wearing my New York Ripper shirt, but I forgot to mention that the New York Ripper, Fulci said, was like a big head salute to Hitchcock as well. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But so
his influence is everywhere. Everywhere.
Let me get to the chat right quick, man. I'm gonna kind of go over an overview about Hitchcock a little bit, and then we'll get into the films, you know. But
absolutely,
so we got Keith in here, Agoraphobe. Excellent. Stewart is at his best in Rope. Yeah, man. He's always great. I don't think I've seen him in a bad film either. That I could think of.
Exactly. Yeah.
And my beautiful wife, exciting stream. Hello, folks.
Hey, Tash.
Thank you. Love you. And Hollow Notes. Hey, Dirk and Darren. What's going on, man?
Hey, Swings, man.
The stream has officially started.
Absolutely, yeah.
We got Blissful in here.
What's going on? Blissful.
Just saying hey to everybody.
Good to see you in you.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, like I was saying, after doing digging and researching, and I've always known, but I just didn't know to the extreme that I know now about Hitchcock. And by the way, the three that we're covering today, two are on this set right here, which I highly recommend.
Which I need, to be honest. I need that set.
The two we're covering is Rope and Frenzy off this set, and they both look great in 4K. I mean, they really do. And it's got a ton of extras on the stuff. The other one I don't own, but it was on Tubi. Strangers on a Train. So that's the other one we're covering. But
I think you can get it on Internet Archive as well, is where I got it.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure, man. It was made in 1951. But so Rope. But anyway, we'll get into that. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself a little bit. I see Corey's in there. Wilkie's Movies and Music. What's going on?
Corey?
He says, hey, all, I'm driving. I'm going to be driving, so won't be in the chat, but listening along. Awesome.
Oh, nice one.
And I think this is right up Corey's alley, too. I think he digs the Hitchcock and the crime noir type cinema, too, you know.
This is probably one of our more like mainstream, if you like. You know, I know he's not proper mainstream because if you put Frenzy into the equation, there's no way that's a mainstream film.
No,
but hopefully this, gets some more new viewers in, and if it's successful, we'll definitely do more on Hitchcock for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, but I'll go ahead and get into it, man. An overview on Hitch, and so like I said, he's. I started off. Someone once asked Hitch why he always makes mystery films. And he says, well, life is a big mystery, isn't it? It always has been. So it's like, if people asked him questions, that was something else. He always had a quick answer that was like, he's a genius, dude. I mean, like real shit. But
he really is. I'm like you. I've been delving into like some of certainly a couple of the documentaries on these films.
Yeah.
And the guy had such like an eye for detail. He even knew from being like 12 feet away what was in the camera shot and everything. Like all the camera operatives were like gobsmacked in how much detail and knowledge he has.
Blocking and staging and camera angles and light and shadows and like having the camera pointed upward at somebody's chin for these long holds and all that shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, Like the example, like in Psycho, that he does that with Norman Bates. It's just focused in on his chin and he's trying to look over. But anyway, I'll digress a little bit. But so man, he was born in 1899. In Leytonstone, England. Is that the right way you say it? Leytonstone?
Leytonstone, I would say.
Leyton?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So he was raised Roman Catholic. His father was like extremely strict. And he was a grocer. So kind of reminds me of a character we're going to get into later. But
well, he was actually we'll come into that, but he was actually a grocer in the same Covent Garden in London that's mentioned, which we're mentioning Frenzy. Crazy, man. Yeah.
But so he was a grocer, and his mother was extremely overprotective, from what I understand. And then but his first fear that he remembers is he got in trouble from his father. He came home late, and I guess he said he was 4 or 5 when this happened. He came home like 3 hours late, and his father sent him to the police station with a note, and the desk sergeant locked him up in a cell for 5 minutes, and he says he'll never forget that clang when the bar door shut, and it stuck with him, and it probably formed his opinion on authority, and
right, yeah.
But then the desk sergeant let him out after 5 minutes and was like, "That's what we do to naughty little boys," So
just kind of scared the hell out of him, basically.
Yeah, scared the shit out. He said he was 4 or 5 years old, but
that's insane. Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I can imagine, man. Yeah,
but yeah, man. And then he got into he started out as a like a draft artist. In 1920, he went to, what is that called? The famous, I'm sorry. Plaskies player. I can't read that. Damn, I can't read my own damn right.
Is that Germany? The place?
No. He
okay.
He went to the University of London and London School of Engineering. And,
right. Okay.
But the famous something Lasky, I can't read that one word, but and then like he started out as a studio draft artist. He was self-made, self-taught himself. He learned the language of cinema. He learned all that shit, like power of the mind kind of shit. He's determined to be a filmmaker,
So he started right at the bottom then. He kind of learned his way as he went on.
Yeah, he learned like the technical language, worked his way up. And then this Michael Balkan sent him to Germany to learn, to learn techniques. And the experience he gained, and that was at the UFA studios in Germany. The techniques he learned from there were like, the experience he gained was like crazy experience, man. And he came back, and I think his first credit was like in 1923, Woman to Woman, his first screen credit. He was he was credited as art director on that one. And then, but yeah, man, and yeah, I'm trying not to read all this word for word, like, you know what I mean? But
yeah, I know what you mean.
So like he did The Pleasure Garden. I think that's the first film he directed, was The Pleasure Garden. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong. But let me check. I see somebody else in here. Dale's in here. Let me check the chat right quick. You said,
"Hey,
Dale. What's up? What's going on? Hey, all in the chat. Yeah, man. Blissful says, I didn't realize how many Hitchcock films I haven't watched. Yeah, there's a ton. It's really.
Yeah, I was surprised myself. Yeah.
And Dale says Hitch's filmography is vast. Yeah, definitely. Where the hell are you coming from at 4 or 5 to be 3 hours late? Yeah, no shit. I think he got lost on the bus system or something, is what Hitch said. I believe that's what it was. But yeah, I thought that was crazy, man. I know it was a different time, but that's crazy. Yeah, hell yeah. But yeah, I'm just trying to get my shit together. Sorry, yo.
No, that's all right, man. Yeah.
But in 1926, so he's like working. His first film is like I said, The Pleasure Garden. But in 1926, he directs The Lodger, and it's a film about Jack the Ripper, and it takes place in London, the London fog and everything. And that was like his big hit. And at the time when it came out, it was considered Britain's biggest film of all time in 1926. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I know it got the Jack the Ripper, style storyline, but I think I've seen it, but that was like years ago.
Yeah.
But it's a silent one, yeah. Dirk?
Yeah,
It's a
silent
film as well.
Yeah, this is in 26, so he's just getting into when the era is about to change, And,
right.
And even he was scared that the sound in film was going to hurt film. You know what I mean? He was afraid the talkies was going to hurt cinema, and but it didn't. It made which we know, and it made it so much better. But he still had that idea that he wanted to communicate something through pictures, where, you know what I mean? Like, where you should be able to watch something and not have any dialogue at all or any sound at all. You can see it in some of his films. If you just turn the volume down, like on Psycho or other films, like all kind of shit, man. If you just turn it down, you'll see that he's communicating what's going on. Like in Vertigo, people sitting around the voyeuristic shit going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason I mentioned Psycho is because Norman Bates has that long, after Janet Leigh dies, he's got to clean up, and there's hardly anything said for a long time.
Right. Yeah. But that's like, he's had like 50 years, definitely, like from the moment he was early on in his like film career, right up until Friends, he is like almost 50 years. So
I think 6 decades.
That is incredible. And he was like top of his game from start to finish as well, which is amazing.
Right. And he had some lower end movies. I still need to see Topaz and Torn Curtain. A lot of people hate on those. But I can't imagine that they're just awful. Like, you know what I mean? I've seen so many bad movies.
I mean, just having Hitchcock involved, they're going to be like, decent on some level.
Right.
But I kind of tend to go for more of his like thrillers and more of like the ones with horror elements.
Right.
But I do need to check out some of his other stuff as well.
So I'm kind of jumping ahead to so 1929, he comes out with a film, Blackmail, and it was originally silent, but then everything changed. So he reshot the entire film for sound.
Wow.
In 1929.
Right. So is there 2 versions of that available then? Or did they just scrap the silent version?
I don't know. I'm not really sure on that. I haven't seen it either.
That'd be worth looking into. Yeah.
Right. So then in 26, like I kind of jumped ahead a little bit. In 1926, he married his wife, Alma Revel, and she was an editor, so she knew a lot about cinema as well. And he kind of went to her for like last decisions on the films. He trusted her opinion and judgment,
Yeah, because you were saying the other night as well, that's very similar to Dario Argento with Daria Nicolodi.
Yeah.
She was like, if you notice, most of Argento's best stuff is done while like she was, on board. Right. But Alma, I remember seeing a few times in documentaries, she was like his right hand kind of lady,
So I'm kind of jumping around a little, but Hitchcock said that 80% of the audience were women. So he used that as a major factor of his films. And then so if you see them, the wardrobes are pretty immaculate. The set pieces are like, not the cinematography, but the scenery and everything.
The attention to detail. I know what you mean. Yeah.
But so he kind of got bigger than English cinema had to offer him. and he wasn't very happy. And he was wanting to go to Hollywood. He wanted to make films in Hollywood. He wanted to make big budget films. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this guy, David Selznick, brought him, kind of lured him to Hollywood, to America. But as soon as he got there, he kind of regretted it because all his creative control got snatched from him, from Selznick. Selznick had to proofread everything he did. Like, he didn't like the way that Hitchcock was filming, because he filmed shit in fragments. He filmed shots in fragments and then put it all together. And then the way he edited, the way he shot everything, there was like only one way you could edit it. You know what I mean? So he had like these flashes in between things, and so that was the only way it could be done. But yeah, he I think it was 7 or 8 years he was with Selznick. He was kind of in contract with him, and he was just miserable because Selznick just treated him like he was just a director. Like, he told him what he was going to do. And he worked like 18-hour days and shit. And he worked the shit out of everybody, you know?
Yeah.
But 1934, The Man Who Knew Too Much was the one film that solidified him as the master of suspense. That's the one that made it happen, where he got that. That's the first time he got the title of that, you know.
Did he remake that film as well? I'm sure I've read that somewhere.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think he
did.
I think he definitely remade. I think he may have. Yeah, I should have looked that up actually.
Because I was looking at his filmography, I didn't see that, but could be right. I could be wrong. So
yeah. If anyone in the chat's got, can look at it quick.
But yeah. So yeah, I'm trying not to bore everybody with this, but
no, that's all right, man. So
the
up until like 1934, I think you're up to.
Yeah. 39 Steps. That film comes out. That's another one that I want to dig into.
That's one I want to see as well. That had a remake as well in the 70s, I think.
Okay. But there was a novel that he rewrote the entire thing and adapted it for the film. And then the original author, John Buchan, came back and told Hitch that his version was better than what he wrote.
Okay, yeah.
Side note here, I wish that King would have admitted that shit to Kubrick, but I know that's
right.
That's another topic.
That's another big argument, really. Right. Yeah.
But so 1939, he makes Rebecca. It's his first American film. Like the first.
That was from a short story, wasn't it? Daphne du Maurier.
Yeah.
Who wrote "Don't Look Now"? Funny enough, as well.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's one I really want to see. Sorry, Dirk, but I really want to see Rebecca.
Right. But yeah, he won an Oscar for Best Picture. I mean, it won Best Picture. He was nominated for Best Director, but he lost to Grapes of Wrath for Best Director. But
oh shit.
But yeah, man.
Did he ever win one then? Did he ever win an Academy Award for director?
He was nominated 5. He never.
Shit.
He was nominated 5 times, I believe. For
maybe because of the horror suspense element. Maybe that's why he didn't win.
Right.
But that's crazy.
So then he comes out with another film, Foreign Correspondent, the next film, and between those two films, 17 Academy Award nominations. I mean, that in itself, that's insane, dude. That's some insane shit, you know. But and then so I'm kind of fast forwarding a little bit. 1947, the last film he makes with Selznick is The Paradigm Case. And from what I understand, Selznick, he was kind of like at a low point. He'd done gambled most of his money away. He was a real real asshole. He was always that, but I mean, he wrote it himself, and it flopped. It was horrible, and it was the last film Hitch did with him, and he was like, "Fuck you, I'm out." After that kind of deal, you know what I mean? Like,
right? Yeah.
But, and Hitch became his own producer too, and so he starts Transatlantic Studios, and then his first film, which is the one we're going to talk about on his own, Rope, is his first one. So
right, so that completely makes sense then, because I don't know a lot of his earlier films, but when it starts with Rope and then goes 3 years later, Strangers on a Train, so you can tell the quality of the films from then on in, then basically, and they were all his own kind of visions as well. Then I take it.
Let me catch the chat right quick.
Yeah, Dell's got something very interesting.
Right. See, Holland says Torn Curtain was fine. It's not the kind of curtain you're thinking of. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I've heard kind of mixed things on that one.
Let's see. I need to actually watch Torn Curtain. I've had it sitting on a shelf for a couple years. Yeah. I haven't seen it either, man.
I've got it, I think, in a box set, maybe.
And Blissful says not boring at all. Well, I appreciate it, Blissful. I got a lot of stuff written down, so I'm trying not to read it word for word. Let's see. According to Wikipedia, The Man Who Knew Too Much from '56 had the same title, but a different plot and script.
Wow, that's interesting. Maybe it wasn't a remake then, but
yeah. Okay. Yes, Hitch directed both. Okay.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what it was.
So that'd be interesting to watch them two back to back and see what the differences is.
Right. And I know that inspired Mario Bava's The Girl Who Knew Too Much. So I definitely got to get on that. So,
I mean, that's my favorite Bava, as everyone knows by now.
It's pretty high up there for me. It's definitely in my top 5. But
I love the old, like Hitchcock, old film noir look.
Yeah.
Like certainly with Strangers on a Train with the
right.
Yeah, he definitely inspired Bava, definitely inspired Argento, De Palma,
Scorsese.
The list.
I mean, you name them. Probably Francis Ford Coppola, probably Spielberg.
Yeah.
I mean, probably all the greats, like
even right up to the day. Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But so Warner Brothers backs him on distribution. So he's at the top of his game now. Like, he can do whatever he wants pretty much. I mean, his own producer, his own director. He don't have David Selznick bitching at him and explaining like what he's got to do. So let's see. Yeah. So we're in The Rope, man. 1948.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like I'd say it's a theater piece film. Yeah. It's kind of like
it's kind of like a stage play, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a play. So he kind of shoots it. He shoots these like long takes, and it don't look like it ever cuts. But what he did was, the audience don't really notice it, but every time, like a film reel could only last like 10 minutes back then. So every time the film reel ran out, somebody would walk in front of the camera and it'd go to black, and then they change the reel. So this is more like his experimental film. He don't cut everything up like he usually does in other films. This is long takes of everything, like crazy. And
which he does in Frenzy as well. If you think about it, there's a few shots in Frenzy. He just does exactly the same.
Yeah, he does. But then he does. But I mean, that's a lot further along. He also does the cut up pieces, for the. We'll get into Frenzy, but
yeah.
But
can't wait to talk about that one.
Yeah. I forgot what I was saying. The long takes and shit, man. Holy shit! I just had a brain fart.
Yeah. He's on about the long takes in Rope. And pretty much like it started off as it was a stage screenplay at one point, wasn't it? Before Hitch got the rights.
Yeah, I think it was in 1929. Patrick Hamilton did the screenplay, and then Arthur Lawrence did the. He did the screenplay. Patrick Hamilton did the original play in 1929. Wrote it, but
right, yeah.
And this is also Hitch's first. This is his first Technicolor film. So the Technicolor cameras, that was something else. They were huge, massive cameras. So in Rope, they got like walls on wheels on these sets, on the set.
Yeah.
And then like the whole backdrop was all built. That was all like some insane work went into that shit, man. All the shit they had to do for Rope. But
it's kind of really unique as well, this film, because it's all just in one location.
In one location, yeah.
Just one apartment. It's supposed to be overlooking, I think it's Manhattan, New York.
Right.
And to keep that going for one, over, I think it's 80-minute film. But it's not what you think it is. You probably think it would be boring and
right.
all that, but he just makes it work on every level. Like, this is one I'd never seen before, but it took me by surprise because I've always like heard about it and I've seen it like bits of it on TV. But going into this like literally blind, I was really surprised.
Yeah, I mean he's using blocking and staging big time in this. No montage in this. No montage.
Yeah.
Like I said, which I'm not going to keep retreading old ground that I said, but I guess. Do you want to read the synopsis, or I can do it either way?
You can read the synopsis if you want, and then I'll try and talk through a few scenes and that, and then we'll do it like that, like we usually do.
Okay. So Brandon Shaw and Philip Morgan have meticulously planned and committed the perfect murder, or so they believe. The victim, David Kentley, former classmate and friend. The motive, superiority and arrogance is what I say. But
yeah,
it's just like to prove they could do it and get away with it, just because they are smarter and they think they're better than that. They're like the chosen few, and they've kind of like learned from this other professor. They learned some of this shit from it. They took it and twisted it and distorted the idea,
Right. Yeah.
So they invite friends after. So the movie starts. They kill him.
And we actually see the killing as well.
You see
strangulation.
Yeah. They're murdering this David Kentley character. Then they put him in a trunk, and then they invite his parents, and then and his friends and his fiance, and they're gonna have a dinner party. Like
some kind of sick and twisted way, they're getting off on the fact that they've killed this guy. Another thing I just want to get in quickly as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
The original writer was kind of pissed off that Hitchcock showed the strangulation in the first scene.
Yeah,
because he thought that if you just had suspense all the way through and kind of like, are we going to see what's in the chest? Which we'll mention. They put the dead body in a chest. Right. He thought that would have worked better, but no, I wouldn't argue with Hitchcock. I think Hitchcock did fine.
Yeah, man, he can reveal something and then still have suspense. Like you're still going to be guessing what the hell is going to happen.
Yeah,
even if he reveals the killer or you know what I mean? I mean, he's just that damn good.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm going to say there's going to be some like minor spoilers. I don't think we'll give away everything in these films, but there will be some kind of spoilers. I think it's hard to talk through them without.
Yeah, I don't think we have to spoil this one like all the way.
No.
Because I mean, really, what we've said hadn't really spoiled anything. It starts like that,
Exactly. You see from straight from the start, So you've got Philip Brandon, like Dirk said, they both commit this perfect murder. They think,
right.
You got Mrs. Wilson. She's kind of like, I guess she's just kind of just helped him out, like a haste maid or something.
Yeah, she's their maid.
Yeah,
because that's something else, right? That there's a subtext, but it's never mentioned. It's never mentioned, and I guess nobody was the wiser. But I mean, I'm
right.
They're homosexuals, but that was never,
apparently this was a big thing as well. This was a well-known thing at the time,
right?
Because James Stewart got involved with the film, and people were put off by the fact that it's basically two, and I think he's implied to be homosexual as well. So you're talking 3, maybe 4 characters. People were like, for this time, it was really shocking.
Right.
I didn't think of anything about that until
I didn't either. I didn't know that. But James Stewart, his character, they didn't make him that way in the movie.
No, that's right. Yeah. But when you go back and watch it, knowing that, it's clearly evident that was the case.
There's plenty of innuendos or whatever.
And didn't you say, I don't want to, keep on the fact of the, gay characters, but didn't you say Farley Granger in real life was a bisexual?
Yeah. And the
I
other
didn't know that, either.
And the other guy, John Dahl, the Brandon Shaw character.
He was in real life as well?
Yeah.
Wow. Because the writer, I think, was as well.
Yeah, the guy that wrote the screenwriter for the film.
Yeah,
he was with Farley Granger as well.
Right. That is insane, because I was watching a documentary. I know we'll come on to the film now, and that guy seems like an asshole, the screenwriter, because he's always saying things like, "Oh, I think Hitch did this wrong," or "He should have done this," and he kind of seems a bit butthurt in the documentary, like, But it's really weird. If anyone gets a chance, it's on this release. I know it's kind of a shitty DVD release.
I mean, like, do you think, like, so the character that gets killed at the very beginning of the movie, his name's David, and this is Hitch's first film away from David Selznick. So,
okay, yeah, and
I don't know.
This David character is arrogant and a bit of a fucker, like, basically. So maybe that was Hitch's just little nod.
Right.
That would not surprise me at all. But yeah, so basically the murder weapon was rope, hence the title.
Because I also thought maybe he was, the Brandon character was like Selznick as well. I don't know. That might be reaching, but
no, that makes total sense. Because obviously he hated that guy in real life, so maybe he did kind of put that him as a character in that. Would not surprise me at all. The thing is with this, with the perfect murder aspect of this, I do find a bit alarming, because they do some things that are really like,
they're
someone
like,
who's supposed to be doing a perfect murder.
One of them is extremely cocky and arrogant, and even to go against his mentor, to bring him to the party. He knows that James Stewart's character, Rupert, he knows that he's gonna figure out, that he can figure shit out, that he's highly intelligent. He figures everything. And they bring him.
He's the one who originally told them, isn't he? He's the one who originally told them how to do the perfect murder, or he had some kind of theory.
It was an idea, not to be taken literal. Like, the idea that there's nothing wrong with murder.
Exactly, yeah. Because the first mistake for me, anyway, that they make is they put the rope in a drawer in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I mean, that just shows the arrogance of that character. He thinks he could do that, get away with it. Whereas you got Farley Granger's characters, the complete opposite. He's like really like worried.
He's wearing it on his face. He can't hide shit of what the hell is going on. He's completely off the whole time. And then they want to, instead of having a dinner at the dinner table, they want to step it up a notch and let's serve food off the chest where the dead body's inside the chest. It's like
I say, it's crazy. Like a twisted type of person would do that.
Right.
But yeah, but like you say, so all the guests kind of show up, and the guests include the victim's father, Mr. Kentley. You got Aunt Mrs. Atwater. His mother couldn't come. The guy who's died, who was killed. His mother couldn't come because I think she's got a cold or something. But you got David's fiancée, Janet Walker. She turns up. Kenneth Lawrence is another character who turns up, and them two kind of had this. They had this relationship going before, but again, I think Brandon wanted to invite the two of them.
Yeah.
To try and get them back together in some weird, strange way as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not even like that they hated the David dude. They just it could have been the other guy, Kent, right?
Yeah.
It could have been him. So
yeah, it's literally just motiveless, like just killing for the sake of killing.
Well, the motive is because they can, and they think they're superior, and they're extremely arrogant. But one of them just seems like he's following the other one.
Yeah. Oh god, absolutely, yeah. And the thing with the two characters supposed to be gay as well. But it is mentioned in the film that the main guy, which is get his name again now, Brandon, yeah. He was having a relationship with Janet as well at some point. So this Janet who turns up,
right,
is in a relationship with the dead man.
Right.
She had a relationship with Kenneth, and previous to that, she's been about the block basically, for the time.
Yeah, I guess. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. But yeah, you've got Rupert shows up as well. James Stewart. What can you say? Like, such a great actor, and he was in two minds, I think, to take this on as well with the gay subtext. He thought it might hurt his career,
right?
But no, he absolutely kills it.
But they rewrote the character, so
yeah, they rewrote certain parts about it, didn't they? Yeah.
Because they don't, because they're in the book or whatever. His character is supposed to be with Brandon, or was with Brandon,
right?
Book,
yeah,
or the play or whatever.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's insanity. But
the concept is called is it Nietzsche's Superman, which is like a means of showing one's superiority. Well, I can't even say it. Superiority over others. Yeah. Which is kind of like amazing if you go and look that up as well. I think.
And then as you see the film progress, you start. I mean, it's like the background. I know I touched on it earlier, but you see the lighting is accurate to how it would go. Like the sun is going down.
Yeah, it's almost in real time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then as the night starts to come, then you start seeing the green lights flashing and the red lights from the billboards. And it's almost, they're so high up in this penthouse. They're so high up there, and you could just picture them looking down at Manhattan, like they just think they're better than every damn body, but yeah.
Right. Cause they make a joke at the start, cause they've drawn the curtains. And they're like, should we certainly towards the end of the film, they're like, should we open the curtains and just carry on, thinking people are going to be watching them?
Yeah.
But the thing about that, there's a scene, obviously, as the film goes on, the two of them get more jittery and more jittery. I think Brandon even gets this stammer when he's talking to the professor. But there's an interesting scene where Mrs. Atwater, who's at the party, she's like some kind of fortune teller.
Yeah.
And she tells Philip that his hands will bring him great fame. Well, we know at this point that he's a pianist as well.
Yeah, right.
But you can see the terror in his face when he's realizing what she means could be the fact that he's used his hands to murder.
Yeah.
That's Hitchcock at his best, I think. That scene alone,
Yeah. Infamous.
Yeah.
It's going to be infamous, but for sure.
There's even a story as well. I don't want to give everything away in the film, but there's a story Rupert says as well about the tale of a bride who she kind of played a joke by hiding in a chest going back 50 years ago, and they didn't find her body till like 50 years later. They found the skeleton. And again, I think that's Hitchcock with a kind of a little bit of humor.
Yeah, he
but
always
it
got the
relates
dark
to
humor.
what's
Sure.
it does relate to what's going on in the film. I don't even know how far you want to go then after that type of thing. Needless to say, all these characters, there's kind of references to the chest all the time.
Right. People keep, that's the suspense of it, right? Because people keep getting near it, and like, they're weary every time. And then this dude, Philip, he's just freaking out the whole time. He's getting drunker and drunker as the shit goes on. But yeah, I guess we've kind of set it up good enough, man. I don't want to completely spoil it, but
no, but like any Hitchcock film, after the point to it, even up to the point we just mentioned, it's all completely gripping. Like, you can't take your eyes off it.
You want to know what's going to happen next. And
if you first time watch for me as well, you're on edge, like just watching.
But
you want to know how it.
Hitchcock said that he didn't really like this film. It was an experimental. It was like an experiment.
But it actually failed, I believe.
It didn't do very well. It didn't do very well.
But they thought that was maybe due to like the homosexual references and the fact that the characters, because it was like I said earlier, it was well known that they were playing homosexual characters. But yeah, like you say, you totally gripped to see how this concludes. I will say it does conclude like really satisfying ending.
Yeah, it does. So
I've got quite a bit on the making of. Have you got any stuff as well, Dirk, you want to say?
I was just going to run through some of the cast.
Yeah.
Real quick. So James Stewart, everybody knows he was in Vertigo, Rear Window, It's a Wonderful Life. Those are 3 bangers that he was in. He plays Rupert. John Dahl, Brandon Shaw. He was in Spartacus from 1960. Stanley Kubrick's Spartacus. And he was in The Man Who Cheated Himself, which I've never seen, but he did some TV work. Perry Mason. Paulie Granger was in Amok by Silvio Amadio. So Sweet, So Dead, and The Prowler. And also he was in What Have They Done to Your Daughters? So
I mean, that's crazy, just those 4 films alone.
Yeah, right. Those all those are jolly, of course, but and then you got Joan Chandler, Janet. She was in a film called Drag Strip Riot from 1958. And then she did some TV work on a show in the 50s called Suspense.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's about all I got on the film.
Did you notice Hitchcock's appearance in the film, like on first watch? Because I didn't.
No.
His cameo?
He's sneaky like that too sometimes. So I didn't catch it.
Yeah. And then when obviously, it's the start of the film when he's walking in the street. But it's done from quite a far way away. So you won't pick up on it instantly, kind of thing. It totally blinded me. Because after I watched the film, I was like, I didn't see him. And then you realize it's in one apartment. How the hell is he going to do that? But that's the way he kind of got out of it. Because originally he was going to do his silhouette in the background or maybe like a picture in the apartment.
Yeah.
But that was going to be too obvious. So he decided to do it on the opening credits when like a guy, I think it might be a guy and a woman, and they're walking up the street, and that's Hitchcock, which is interesting.
Okay.
But yeah, I've got some stuff on the making.
Hold on, let me catch it.
Do the chat first, and then
I see Corey says done driving. Now I'm back to Buggy in the chat. Well, cool, man.
Nice one, man. Yeah, nice to have you on board.
Yeah, and Holland says, "Oh no." But yeah, man, go ahead.
Dell says as well, it feels like a stage play. I don't know if you've read that before.
Feels like a stage play, but still works as a film.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, man, exactly I think it's a great film. I really do. But it wasn't a favorite of Hitch's, but
yeah. But yeah, like Dirk said, so you've got the film is based on Patrick Hamilton's play Rope. I think it was called Rope's End as well at one point, which was a true story. So they would basically they would go through to see what parts they wanted to keep and get rid of. So what they did, the writers, they were just including parts they wanted. So they kind of all got together because Arthur Laurentis was brought in to do the actual screenplay. So there's like 3 or 4 different writers to this, if you include the original stage play.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got Rope, very homosexual film. The word was never mentioned, but didn't they?
Yeah, they refer to it as it.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the way, kind of in those days, that's the way they would say stuff like that.
But if they knew, like, they got it past the censors would have been like, nah, hell no. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah. So what they didn't say is, right, there was a case called the Leopold. Yeah, it's easy for you to say.
Leupold and something. Yeah.
Which 2 rich boys in a Chicago school, they decided to murder a 3rd boy.
Yeah.
Just for the thrill of it.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, like, even though it's not mentioned as an influence, it's hard to, like, look against that. That surely has to be
an
influence to the film.
I think it was from what I heard.
Maybe it was credited then, because in the documentary it says it wasn't credited, but maybe they did that later.
You got Jamie Hart in here. What's going on?
Hey, Jamie, nice to see you. So yeah, like you say, that John Daly had success in a movie called The Corn is Green. And like him coming onto the film as well was like a massive plus back in those days. Again, I'm just looking for my notes now. Hitchcock wanted Cary Grant for the part of James Stewart, the professor, which was interesting.
This is also this was a lot of firsts. So this was the first film that James Stewart did with Hitch too.
Right. Yeah. And they were to go on and do great things as well.
Oh yeah, man.
A guy called Montgomery Clift was another actor he wanted for one of the boys. I'm not familiar with him, but I guess you can like look him up. I don't want to go on too much because I got quite a bit. I don't know if Dirk's got any more he wants to say. Oh, I will say, yeah, sorry. Do you know the maid? So the maid in the film, right? During the filming, the actors in the film treated her as if she was like a real maid. They never spoke to her. They ordered her about to get them this, get them that, which was kind of interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought that was strange. But yeah, I've got quite a lot. I don't want to go on too much.
I was just gonna segue into some Alfred Hitchcock tropes before we go to the next film.
Yeah.
So some of his tropes are murder plots with blonde victims, and and there's a quote from him that says, "Blondes make the best victims. They're like virgin snow that shows. They're like virgin snow that shows up the bloody footprints."
Didn't he have Hitchcock had an infatuation with some of his leading women as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. Ingrid Bergman, even Tippi Hedren too,
and maybe Janet Leigh as well.
Probably so.
Yeah.
I think most of all the blonde lead actresses. So
I think a few of them had to pull him up on it as well. Because even though he wasn't sleazy or anything like that, but you could tell. JB Hart's just said as well there in the comments. Yeah, you could tell he had a thing for him.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was mean as hell to Tippi Hedren though. Like in The Birds, like he there was a bunch of birds, of course, but I mean she's in the phone booth, and that's like she was like really getting attacked and shit, from what I understand.
Right. Yeah. The only other thing I got is, have you seen the trailer to this one, Dirk?
Yeah.
And it's done very uniquely.
Yeah.
So the trailer is actually a scene that was never in the film.
Yep.
About David, and he's with his girlfriend, I think, and kind of it's on the afternoon of the party, and
Janet.
Yeah. He says, "I'll see you later,"
Right.
but the voice says, "Oh, that's the last time, he will ever like."
Yeah,
she
James
will
Stewart
ever see him
says that's
alive.
the last time she'll ever see him, and that's the last time you'll ever see him, and all this shit.
Right, yeah, which is like amazing.
Right.
How like Hitchcock could just do that with trailers. We've all seen the Psycho trailer. There's one we'll mention later on Frenzy, where he even goes in the River Thames and starts to float in the River Thames, which is crazy. But yeah, man, what would you rate this one?
I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
Ooh, shit! I thought you were going higher with that.
No, I'll give it a 6 out of 10 because I've seen better from Hitch, in my opinion. Some people say this is his best, but I'm not in that camp. So
it's definitely one I'm gonna watch again. I don't know whether it's something I'm not gonna be putting this on like every year or anything.
Right.
But I would give it a solid 7.
Okay.
I think it's definitely
6 not bad. I mean,
you're kind of where I am, I think.
Right.
Yeah, 6/7 is probably about right, I'd say.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll go ahead and just name a few more of these tropes from Hitchcock that he kind of started, really.
Yeah.
So characters on the run that have been falsely accused. Of course, everybody knows that. Approaching shadows, cameos, elaborate wardrobes, arrogant villains with high intelligence.
Right. Yeah.
Elaborate staircases. Voyeurism shots.
Yeah.
Deep focus shots, like where you see something in the back and something in the front, but it's all focused in. And conversations on trains. So
I didn't think of that. Yeah.
Didn't
Truffaut once said about Hitchcock that he just remakes the same film over and over, which is really harsh when you think about it. That comment, but
well, he the same kind of ideas, I think, but he changes it. He always changes. It's always different, though.
Absolutely.
Kind of like the same base, but But then also newspaper headlines and handwritten notes. And then there's one that I don't really hear nobody mention is people falling off of shit.
Right. Yeah.
Especially like people falling off of monuments and shit. So
I've never really looked into any of them, but a few of them do make sense.
But it makes sense since we said the conversations on a train. So we're going into Strangers on a Train, 1951. So a tennis player star, Guy Haynes, meets a total stranger who knows details of his personal life and wants to orchestrate a double murder. Bruno Antony wants his father he hates taken out, and he can take care of Guy's whore wife. So so crisscross, he says. Two strangers to kill two strangers with no motive. Guy shrugs off the idea, but Bruno follows Guy's wife Miriam and follows through on his end. Now he expects Guy to follow through on his part while disrupting his life until he does the dirty deed.
Right. Yeah. And I think this one is kind of a notch above like Rope as well. I think he's getting better and better at, in terms of what he's doing.
Oh yeah.
This was based on a novel as well, by Patricia Highsmith, who was fascinated by very intelligent criminals, and that's another you say Hitchcock trope in it. Very intelligent.
I'm gonna catch this before we get started.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jamie says during the attic scene, they threw real birds at her for days. It really messed her up. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I hate birds like that near me. Yeah.
Blissful says, I I can't even imagine, Jamie.
Yeah.
He was mean to Tippy though, but he did give her a damn that fur coat she's wearing. She got to keep that. So the mink coat or whatever.
That'd be worth some money as well today.
He probably felt bad. He's like,
Yeah.
Keep that.
I've never seen the birds. I need to see it, man.
Oh yeah, you need to see it, man. That's an eco horror, what I call it. Like
right, yeah. But what's interesting about this one now?
Right.
So there's kind of a gay reference as well. I know it's like really strange.
Yeah, the Bruno character, the Bruno Anthony character.
I don't know why, that was a thing back in those days, or it was kind of risky to do, I would imagine.
Right.
And again, I wouldn't have known it until I looked the film up.
Yeah.
But
so
when it's in front of you,
all this,
yeah, it's like the other one. It's exactly, you can't miss it once you know, this I really like this one a lot. I think slightly more than Rope, to be honest.
Yeah, I like it better than Rope for sure. I like the black and white, the way it's shot. I mean, the use of shadows and with the light, with the blacks and the light, and the way things are framed in. People are behind bars in some shots, and I don't know.
Yeah,
it's pretty damn good.
So you got this kind of psychotic, like mama's boy, like Bruno Anthony.
Yeah.
And the first scene, one of the early scenes, is he meets Guy Haynes on a train. And they kind of get talking,
it's just by chance too, because his foot hits his foot.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But is it really?
Was it by chance though? Yeah, that's what I mean.
Because the Bruno guy is looking at him and he knows everything about him already.
Yeah. So he was obviously psychotic, and he's obviously been stalking him, I would imagine.
But do you think like, I'm not trying to stall us up or anything, but do you think that the guy, do you think he's completely innocent? Because there's moments where you're like, okay, he's all about appearance. He's all about image, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I kind of got from what I got out of it, like he's completely innocent. But
there's a moment where he's like, talk about he'd strangle her, and shit like that. So like, I guess we all get that way sometimes, but
no, I mean, you can mention that as well. It's not going to give anything away. We'll mention that anyway. But
yeah, okay.
Early on, so basically to start it up, this guy has got like this, his current wife, basically, they're estranged, but she's really like, I think she's doomed to be pregnant. Is she with another man?
She's pregnant with somebody else's baby, and she's like I said in the description, I mean, I can't be any nicer than that for that character. She's a whore. She really is.
She's a good time girl, is the way I put it. But so you've got Bruno, who's really got this father, like overbearing, like strict father that he wants to get rid of as well. And it's kind of clever, that this Bruno's been thinking up the idea of, doing again the perfect murder, I would imagine, where each one of these people, kill for the other person, which is kind of genius idea back in those days.
Yeah,
I know it was pinched from a novel or what have you, but it's been done a few times since.
But it's like Hitchcock says, a moving pictures, right?
Yeah,
there's nothing like it. There's nothing else like it to turn something that was written for everyone to see. And to do it, to do it correctly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but so you got, early on, you got Alfred Hitchcock's like cameo. He gets on the train, doesn't he, with like a musical instrument. I didn't notice that one straight off. But like you say, so Miriam, who's Guy's wife, she tries blackmailing Guy. Basically, she won't let him have the divorce.
he's trying to give her the money to pay for the divorce, and then she's like, "No, I'm not." She's just taking the money so she can go buy a bunch of shit with it, like
right, yeah.
And she'll just keep doing that, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
he's in like a high-profile relationship with the senator's daughter as well,
right?
So he wants, he's generally in love with this woman, and he wants to kind of get the divorce through. But she's just being a bitch. She's not going to let him do that. We actually see her, go into the fairground where she's with two men. So
yeah, like some kind of carnival kind of deal.
Yeah, some threesome going on. I don't know.
She has a double date with well, two dudes with her. So yeah.
Yeah. And again, we'll go so far with this. We won't go all the way because I don't want to give everything away. But needless to say, Bruno starts phoning up, Guy, like trying to leave messages, trying to say, are we going to go through with this plan? Guy don't want nothing to do with it. But then he weirdly, this Bruno, this psychotic character, you can tell there's something off with him from the start.
He starts you can tell that his mother's off too, though, right?
Yeah.
She's kind of batty too.
He's like a mama's boy as well, so there's that going on as well. Do you know what I mean? There's all these different things going on.
This is 51, so this is before Psycho.
Yeah. So. But he kind of stalks Miriam then, Guy's wife at the time, to this fairground, where, like you say, she's with two men. And I think, we can say, like, about the first murder, I think we can go at least to say that,
Yeah.
She goes on this tunnel of love ride. And she notices him as well. And she's kind of like...
She thinks he's flirting with her.
Yeah. She's kind of smitten with him. And
he is kind of flirting
following
with her,
her.
But he's...
Yeah. And it's weirdly following her on every ride.
Yeah.
And like that would set alarm bells for me.
And you see how he keeps looking at his hands?
Yeah.
Like he keeps looking at his hands like he's some kind of god or some shit. That's the impression I get. Like
Yeah. I do want to say as well, there's a scene on the train as well where he actually picks up Guy's lighter. That's inscribed and everything.
Yeah, A to G
murder. Yeah.
A to G, it says on the lighter, and it has the tennis things.
Right.
He's like a pro tennis player, and Anne, his girlfriend, gave him that lighter or whatever.
Yeah. So he's following her now. He's stalking her. He actually kills her.
Man.
And then what's that?
Yeah, but the way he does it, like,
oh man,
he lights a lighter. He lights that lighter, and you see the reflection in her glasses. And then her glasses, he starts strangling her. The glasses hit the ground, break. And then you see the shot of him strangling her through the glass lens.
Yeah.
So damn good the way that's done.
It reminds me a lot of the Giallo films that were to come in the 70s.
Right.
You always get killers with glasses, and you always get reflections in glasses.
The reflection of kills. Yeah.
It's done so well, like Dirk said. It's an amazing shot. So up until then, I don't think we're going to go too much into what happens after that. But needless to say, he does start blackmailing, Guy about what's happened.
Yeah, but then right after that, he's so quick to get the hell out of there.
Yeah,
he gets on the boat.
He drops the lighter as well, doesn't he? But he picks it up. He manages to.
Yeah, he does pick the lighter up, and then he keeps his head about him. He gets on the boat. He just gets the hell out of there. Then he helps a blind guy across the street.
Exactly, which is totally because you're thinking, he's just murdered someone.
Right.
Yeah, he's good enough to do that. The kindness of his heart.
But I think, do you think that he was actually helping the blind guy, or do you think? I think that he was using the blind guy to, like, take the heat off of him, to make it look like he's with him. You know what I mean? To help.
Yeah, maybe possibly as an alibi as well. Maybe someone will see him, taking the blind guy. But yeah, it's undeniable he was at the fair at the time.
Well, there's definitely a reason why it's in the. You know what I mean? Because the attention to detail with Hitchcock. But
yeah. But you've got the senator's daughter. There's another daughter that's actually played by Hitchcock's daughter, real life daughter as well.
Yeah,
she was in obviously in Psycho. I think she's probably in a few more of his films. And she's
I got some of her stuff. I think she was in. Hold on, sorry.
No, that's fine, man. That's fine.
She was in Stage Fright in 1950. She was also in the Ten Commandments in 1956. She was uncredited. She was a court lady, so I guess she was like an extra or something. But and then she did a ton of Alfred Hitchcock Presents from 1953 to 1960.
Oh, okay.
So she was in a lot of his.
She's
his
an
shows.
amazing character actress. I think
She really is. Yeah.
One of the stars. Like she's everything. Well, I haven't seen a lot of her, but I mean, she seems to shine through. Through the screen on every opportunity. But what they do in this film as well is Miriam, who gets killed, is the first kind of victim, and Barbara, who I mentioned, Hitchcock's daughter, they look very similar, and that comes into play as well.
Yeah.
And in the plot, I won't say anything, more than
Could
that.
you imagine though, her growing up with Hitchcock? So
yeah.
I mean, she was bound to be great in something in film. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all the documentaries I've seen her in as well. She's so articulate, like her father.
Yeah.
Very insightful. She seems this jolly type. Yeah, she's by far one of the standing lights in the stuff I've seen. But yeah,
the Wild Guys. Holland says, "Devil's Three-Way." Miriam
exactly.
with the two dudes.
With the two dudes, yeah.
Yeah, she's such a slut. But then the Wild Guy says, "Hey, Dirk, Darren just in says, hey, back from volleyball and shower time. Hope you guys are good." Yeah, man, I appreciate
yeah,
you
nice to see
in,
you.
Man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, always good to see the Wild Guys in. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But yeah,
we got Chris in here now. Hold on, sorry.
Oh, right.
Chris says, "How on my work break just dropped in to slash the like." Yeah, man, appreciate you, man.
Hey, Chris. Yeah, I just watched Chris's video from last night, actually earlier. Always good to see Chris in. Yeah.
Everybody's saying, "Hey, cool." Yeah, man.
But
sorry about that, man.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So it all, I'm not going to say how it pans out, but I mean, there's an amazing final sequence at the fairground.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say any more than that, but the suspense, there's something happens on this ride as well, involving a little kid as well, which is done fucking amazingly well.
We didn't even mention that about this character, Bruno. So, he's a total shithead. I mean, we know we kind of mentioned and touched on it, but that shit that he does the little kid's balloon, he pops it with the damn.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Little things like that, all the way
shows
through.
You how scumbag he is, But
right, yeah. But the carousel at the end, people got to watch that scene. I'm not going to say what happens, but it's done amazingly well. Like I was like, shit. And you're on your edge of your seat, like any Hitchcock thriller. You're on your edge of the seat right to the end. He did Hitchcock wanted William Holden for the role of Guy.
Okay.
Which would have been interesting, I think, but I think he went for the right choice, if I'm honest.
With Farley Granger.
Yeah, because I think his performance is, well, like both films, if you think about it, Rope as well, he's amazing in both.
And I've only seen the film one time because I didn't have a lot of time this week. I usually watch the films twice, but
yeah. Thinking
back on it after watching it, I see like a duality thing going on with the characters. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like you were saying with him helping the blind guy across the street.
Yeah.
And then there's another part where he says something about, well, that's not a very nice thing to do.
Right.
And he has some kind of moral part of him, but then the guy character has like these evil parts of him that, like, that's how I see it anyway. Like a couple parts.
Because we didn't mention it, did we? But he actually says, didn't he? I don't know if Dirk mentioned it earlier, but he actually says when he's phoning up his current girlfriend, the senator's daughter, he says, "I want to kill my wife," basically.
Yeah, he says, "I want to break her neck, strangle her, and all this shit." And you're like, what the fuck?
And she's paranoid up until the point where we come to and we stop. she's paranoid all the way through that guy might be, the killer on
Right.
So there's that going on as well. There's lots of different like subplots and all that.
Chris says,
this is great.
Not seen many Hitchcock films, but great Rex. Yeah, man. Yeah, I still got a lot to watch too, Chris. I really do, man.
I would definitely start with these three if I was Chris. I probably Frenzy's going to be, because I know he likes Giallos. That's going to be
right.
That's the one, the standout one of the three, which we're going to come on to in a minute. But I think
Holland
Strange
says,
is a solid, man. Solid
right.
film.
Holland says, the one thing that really irked me about this film is how long the tennis rally scene is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And you can kind of tell it's not him as well. It's like obviously a professional tennis player.
And then Holland says, but a lot of films did that back then, I think. Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Yeah. So how would you rate this one then, Dirk?
I wasn't trying to cut you off. I was just trying to keep up with the chat.
No, man, that's fine.
Okay.
No.
Was there anything else you wanted to say about it, or?
I didn't get a lot because I, like you, I basically downloaded this, so I haven't got no physical copy, so I didn't get a lot of background or anything.
Okay.
So I don't know if you got anything you want to say, like background or anything like that.
Oh, I did want to bring up the scene, a couple scenes actually. So
yeah, go for it.
So
man.
Bruno's at this party, and he's like talking to a judge. He's like talking shit to a judge. Like he's just blatant. He's kind of like the Brandon character from Rope in a way. He's real cocky.
Yeah.
And then he starts strangling the judge's wife.
Right. Yeah.
But he's like not really doing it until he sees the daughter of the senator, which looks like Miriam. Yeah. And then something clicks in his brain and he trances out and he just starts strangling the shit out of that old lady. But then you see the lighter. That is so cool how they did that, man. Where you see the lighter in both their glasses,
Yeah, amazing scene, yeah.
Right.
And he's so psychotic. He kind of gets into his the senator's realm of friends and all that, and he gets he's proper like the best thing I can say similar to that is like one of these stalker films you get now, or like something like 1 Hour Photo where you got some guy who's just fucking literally stalking someone, and he's there at every opportunity you look, he's there. Funny enough, I didn't mention that scene, but that's
I had to mention it because that's one of my favorite scenes of the film is that moment,
and that's where Hitchcock's daughter, who's playing the senator's daughter, comes into play with Miriam because they look alike.
She's terrified because she realizes he's looking dead at her. When he does that shit, and then also the scene where Guy is creeping up the staircase, and you see that huge bull mastiff dog.
I think that was Hitchcock's kind of joke. It was kind of a joke, bit of humor his way, I think.
Right.
Because you're thinking there's no way, and you know what's gonna happen, but
right. But I think I've touched on the my favorite scenes, I guess.
I don't think we've given anything too much away there either.
Been so pretty vague about it. Yeah.
Hopefully people will want to check these out and watch the endings. But for me, a solid 7.5, possibly near an 8 out of 10. It's definitely a little bit of a notch up from Rope.
I think I'd give this one an 8, and I could even see it go up because there's a lot going on that I probably didn't catch everything. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Yeah. Because I'm like you. I only watched this once as well.
Right.
But this is one I would go back to watching quite regular.
Definitely, man. It's so well shot. It's I mean, I love black and white when it looks like this. It's just damn good, man, the way everything's done. And these long shots too, or these wide shot angles. Like you see the Bruno character, and you see these huge pillars, and he's small, but he's just kind of watching Guy the whole time, waiting for him to return the favor,
I mean, yeah, like funny enough, the guy from Cape Fear, like the original Cape Fear, that's type of the sort of guy he is.
Right. Like Max Cady.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy, but yeah, hopefully people will want to watch the end of these. Like,
I definitely recommend this one. This one went up, so it's an 8 out of 10 for me, I would say.
Yeah, I'd probably say that 7.5 probably for me, but yeah, I can't argue with that.
Okay, but yeah, man, highly recommend. I mean, I'm trying to get all these sets. Some of them, one of them I didn't get because I had some of the films already, the singles of them. So,
right, yeah.
But
let me just. I'll be right back a minute. I just got to turn that heater off a minute.
Okay. Let's see. We got Brian here, man. What's going on? Brian Goes Blue. Hey, you crazy guys. Yeah. Y'all go check his channel out, man. He's
Brian.
been doing the Coffin Joe with me. We're doing it every 2 weeks, covering some Coffin Joe stuff. I know that's not for everybody, but I guess it's for us. But
no, they seem to be doing all right. The two videos you did as well. So yeah.
Right. But yeah, man, we're gonna get into 1972's Frenzy.
Right. This is my fucking film 8 to 3, I think.
Okay. Cool.
Only like a shitty DVD, but
yeah. Let's see. I guess I could have showed this a little bit. This set.
That's what I want. Yeah.
I mean, it's weird how they did it like this, But
it's nice, man.
But it's cool. I do like this artwork I was going to show. Wait, is that right? Okay, no, I'm thinking of something else. But that's like
that's the original artwork. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That poster, man, is great. This is one I'm really excited to talk about.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite of the three, to be honest.
Yeah, easily, I think, for me as well.
And it's kind of like Hitchcock's coming back to London. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think he's getting back to his roots. And yeah, it's written by Anthony Schaefer. And I'll just go ahead and get into the synopsis that I wrote.
Yeah.
What seems as a natural born loser, alcoholic, Richard Blaney, or Richard Blame Me. So is recently fired from his barkeep job he's accused of stealing. And he's got like this extreme chip on his shoulder and the world's to blame kind of attitude. He was like a RAF captain or something. Is
Squadron
that right?
leader. Yeah.
Okay. But so he goes and visits his friend Bob Rusk, who is doing quite well for himself. He owns like his own grocer marketplace in the Covent. You're more familiar with that than I would.
Covent Garden it is.
Covent Garden. Yeah. Okay. And hell, maybe you should have read the synopsis, or
I don't mind if you want me to go. I don't mind.
But no, I was just thinking because you're more familiar with Britain, but yeah, so he's pretty successful, and then so he leaves. Then he goes and visits his ex-wife, and she's doing well for herself. She has like this matchmaking business, and anyway, everybody's trying to help him out, and he's not interested in any kind of charity or anything like that.
Yeah.
But then meanwhile, there's this necktie rapist murderer on the loose in London. So
yeah.
That's kind of the setup. Yeah.
I mean, like one of the so to open it up, you get this aerial shot over the River Thames, and this is what I probably will go like into detail about a bit more than the others.
Yeah.
But so this dead woman basically washes up in the River Thames. You see like the aftermath, she's got like a tie wrapped around her neck where she's been strangled. And And I mean, this one captures London. I know I've said it with some of the Giallo films as well from the 70s, but this captures London so well. Because Covent Garden was a pretty big.
And it's not there anymore, right?
Yeah, because when they were shooting that, they knew for some reason that like fruit market and all that was going to be demolished.
Right.
So they knew they were capturing something, historic on film. But yeah, so Richard Blaney, you got former RAF squadron, and he's got some kind of drink problem as well. There's definitely some kind of issues going on. But when we meet his friend, which is Rusk, played by Barry Foster, I mean, what an acting performance he puts in this, And it's not going to be a spoiler to say, I think we can pretty much mention what happens because it happens early on, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty early on. And also, if you were to watch the trailer, you would be spoiled. So
right, yeah. So
I guess you would be, but not really, because I mean, we're not going to give the end away, right? So
right, we're not going to give the end away, no. So this Rusk, he gives the guy like a 20-1 horse racing tip.
Yeah.
And
he don't take it.
Yeah. He's got no money to take it. I'm trying to, Richard Blaney. So, to cut a long story short, so Richard Blaney's ex-wife, Brenda, she runs this kind of matchmaking agency. She's very, well off money-wise and all that. He goes to see her. He's like on the bones of his ass, basically. He hasn't got a penny to his name. But she's really nice about it, and he does get quite aggressive.
Yeah.
Which the secretary sees, but doesn't obviously say anything. So his wife then, or ex-wife, she offers him out to like dinner, and they get a little bit he gets a little bit argumentative as well, doesn't he? He smashes the glass, cuts his glass on his hand. But what he doesn't know is that she slipped him some money to look after him in his coat. He's got nowhere to stay, basically. Yeah,
he has nowhere to stay. He don't have any money. He don't know he has any money, but he does. So he goes and stays at the Salvation Army, which I didn't even know that the Salvation Army was a thing in the UK.
Nah, that's still a thing. People do go there now. Homeless people do go there now.
I didn't realize that there was a Salvation Army in the UK though. Like we have that here too. So.
Oh right, yeah. It's long. Well, as far back as I can remember.
Okay, I didn't know it was like international thing, but that's cool.
Yeah. But I didn't know that you had to pay to get in there because he said you had to pay a small fee to sleep.
You don't have to pay here.
No, you don't. You don't here either. Yeah. Maybe you did back in the early 70s.
Right.
But yeah, so then we're coming on to the gritty bit. Like so Rusk is his friend, and we can tell that. I don't know about you, but you can tell again that his character's off from the start.
Here we go again though with the duality thing, and I know a lot of directors do this. So Rusk on the outside, he's like this cheerful, joyful guy. He's successful. Yeah. Everything's going right, perfect for his life. And then this other guy, Blaney, he's he's super aggressive. He seems like an asshole, which he kind of is in a way, but
he has
no money.
Asshole. Yeah.
It's like role reversal, but there's one thing that separates them extremely. So
right, yeah.
But sorry.
Yeah,
man.
so no, that's all right, man. So Russ then he turns up at this matchmaking agency, but he was turned away at one point, like in the past, because he got some kind of perversion things going on. They don't quite tell you everything, but they say basically
he wanted to do some. He basically what I'm guessing was it don't say it, because I think Hitchcock's too classy for that kind of shit.
Exactly, yeah.
So it leaves it to your imagination, which is good, I think. I'm kind of thinking it was probably some bondage type shit.
Bondage, yeah, very much so when you see the end of the film as well, actually.
Yep.
But he, this is a really kind of creepy scene.
This is a pretty hard like it's a pretty rough rape scene. It took 3 days to shoot the scene
right.
for the actors, and the way Hitchcock does it, he does it kind of like the same way he does the murder in Psycho, where everything's shot in little pieces and then it's put together later. You know what I mean? So it makes it even more nasty, filthy, sweaty, and the shit that he's saying while it's going on. He says lovely while he's
keeps
raping.
saying it, doesn't he? Keeps saying
says
lovely,
it over and over. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And you're like, holy shit. But
even now, like that scene is disturbing even now.
It is, man.
And it's shocking even now, I think, as well, because the first time I seen this was a while ago. It was like 10 years ago, maybe.
Right.
I can believe that Hitchcock could put that in a film. But it's done, even though it's creepy and everything's right, you know, it's done in such a way that, like you say, Hitchcock wouldn't go down to a certain depths of where he would.
You see a breast, you see one breast, you know?
Yeah.
And it wasn't the actress, which I didn't mention, Barbara Lee Hunt. It wasn't her.
No, it was a body double. Yeah. But yeah, the whole way that's done, like you say, the way he creepily like says "lovely" over and over, and
and he's sweaty.
Enough,
and the facial expressions that he's making is just like holy shit, you know.
And he's so arrogant, like, you know, the guy from Rope, one of the first films we've seen. He's just so arrogant. Well, even the last one as well, there's an arrogant guy. But the way he goes about it, and he pinches her money as well. And he blatantly like eats an apple, I think, and just acts as if nothing's happening.
He pulls the tie off, right? And
yeah.
And then she starts freaking out. She's thinking that she's just getting raped, but no, once he pulls the tie off, she knows he's the necktie killer. And
that's, as you know, then as the viewer, that's the first time you know as well.
Yeah.
And there's no, you know, that's not a spoiler at all. This comes in the first 15, 20 minutes maybe.
Right. Yeah.
But what's the beauty of this scene as well is he manages to get out, you know, but the secretary at the time has gone on dinner break.
Right.
But as she comes back from a dinner break and she's about to see, you know, her boss murdered, Richard kind of goes there on a whim. He tries to go there to see his wife.
He goes there. He's like wrong place, wrong time kind of shit.
Wrong place, wrong time. Yeah. And she's
a victim of circumstance, right?
Yeah. So the secretary sees Richard walking away.
Yeah.
She goes up, sees the dead body, puts 2 and 2 together. And next thing you know, there's like this big manhunt. It's all in the newspapers the news.
Well, let's bring it back just a little bit because
go on, man. Yeah.
When you see the secretary going up there, after she's seen Blaney, when she goes up there, it's like real time the way it's done.
Yeah.
Because the camera is just stuck on this wall, and you know everybody that's watching is waiting to hear her reaction.
Yeah, it goes silent, doesn't it? Actually, like you said about this, you know, he got a history in silent films as well.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I think you see these people coming into frame, don't you? And then you hear this massive screen. Sorry, Dirk. Go on.
No, you're good, man. You're good. You're exactly right, because that's a good example of what I was talking about, the conveying stuff through the images without any dialogue or anything. But you're waiting for that scream. And these 2 women come walking up, and then the woman screams, and you see their reaction. It's like brilliantly done, the way he did it.
Oh, it's this has to be like his kind of reaction to the Giallo film at the time. That's what I'm guessing.
I wholeheartedly feel that. I'm thinking either Argento or Bava inspired him to make this film.
One of them, definitely. Yeah. Possibly Bava, actually. Yeah, when you think about it, you know, maybe he's put the 2 together, like, because the violence in that scene is like, or what's implied in that scene is incredible. But yeah, he must have seen. He must have. So this was 72. So he must have seen The Bird with the Crystal Plumage by then.
Yeah, because he had already commented on Argento. He said taking notice of that Italian or.
That's right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
But also Baba though. Baba was highly inspired from Hitchcock. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, the girl who knew too much, the man who knew too much. So you've got like the black and white, in the older films as well. But this is kind of this is like where Argento kind of brought Bird with the Crystal Plumage and the Black Glove Killer, modernized it from Bava, if you will. This is kind of like a really modern for the time, like, version of like a frenzied killer, basically.
Yeah.
And it's shocking knowing that Hitchcock actually filmed that as well. Like,
right. It's crazy to think that that's Hitchcock when you watch it.
I mean, it ups the violence levels from like, Psycho. Like this is even more like, than the shower scene.
This is his most violent film, Bob. And this is like his second to last film, because you corrected me on that. Family Plot is his last film, but
right,
but yeah. So this happens again though, but then the second time I showed it in the intro where you see the camera leaving the scene of the crime. It's so much more effective because you've already seen it the first time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
With the second victim. Or really not the second, but the second victim we see where it actually happens. You don't actually see nothing. You just see him say, "You're my type of woman." And then the camera slowly.
So we know straight away then,
Yeah. The camera slowly comes down the staircase and leaves the building, and everything's business as usual outside,
And that's the beauty of Hitchcock, because he knew he didn't have to redo that scene again.
Right.
And just it's genius if you think about it. Just
it's
by
more
that
disturbing
one,
because you've already seen the other, so it's left to your imagination that same type of shit's happening again.
Right? Yeah. Just saying that line as well, which we know he said in the first murder, so we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Again, so Richard's basically he's kind of got this girlfriend,
Babs.
Babs. Yeah, she's played by Anna Massey. And if people don't know who Anna Massey is, she was in Peeping Tom.
Yep.
Kind of a rival to Hitchcock's Psycho back at the same time. So you've got her. He's basically on the run now, She's trying to like help him out.
She's the only one that believes him, pretty much.
It took her a while, mind, because he had to convince her when he's in the park. And
it didn't take her too long, though.
No. Yeah. But she loves him, I think they even go to some hotel, they have sex.
I didn't write the actress down either. The bitch, she's like a real bitch. You know what I mean? Like she's so mean. Like, but I noticed she was an Omen, right? She was Damien's like house sitter.
Billy Whitelaw. Yeah, Billy Whitelaw.
Yeah.
She was funny enough, just going into a side point. Her and John Foster starred in this play, which Hitchcock went to see.
Mm-hmm.
So for the longest time, John Foster, who plays Rusk, thought that Hitchcock picked him because of the play. But actually, when he was talking with someone years later, he found out that Hitchcock had seen the film that the two of them were in, which is called Twisted Nerve. Yeah. And it's a British horror film from 1968. And it's very fucking Hitchcock-like.
Oh,
but that's why he's seen him, and that's why him and Billy Whitelaw, like you say, the bitch character.
She's a great actress. She plays that role. I mean, anytime I've seen her, the only other time I've seen her was in The Omen, though.
She's got that look as well, hasn't she?
Yeah.
She's got a really fucking evil look to her.
Yeah.
But so I thought that was kind of interesting. But like you say now, he's trying to get away, he doesn't know what to do. They kind of turn on him as well, don't they? Even the guy he lets him stay at their place. And the wife wants none of it, the bitch wife we was just saying.
Yeah, she's a bitch. She's a real bitch in the movie.
She's brilliant as well, yeah. But even her husband, like in the end, like he's like, well, I don't want to give you an alibi,
Yeah, because she's on his ass, right?
Yeah. Completely leaves him in the lurch, like he doesn't know what to do.
Right.
And again, I think we can go so far.
And I might be stretching, But I'm wondering if Hitchcock was depicting his parents in this film. Now, this is just out of my own head. Like, I might be stretching something here, but like the super strict father of the grocer, I don't know how he felt about his father, but
right.
But then she seems like an overprotective type of woman,
Right. Yeah.
So that could have been like his mother.
Yeah. Because there's
I think
a funny
this is his most personal film, too.
Yeah, I don't think he knew his father a lot because there is a scene in the documentary, right? So while they were making this film, right, and they were doing the scenes in Covent Garden, some old guy came up to Hitchcock, who we didn't know, and he turned around and he said, Alfred Hitchcock, he introduced himself. He said, I remember I used to know your dad. So Hitchcock halted filming, took this guy who was down on his luck. He wasn't, wasn't well off or anything.
Yeah.
And he sat down and
had dinner with him, right?
Give him paid for dinner to have, and was happy to like do 2 or 3 hours just reminiscing about what his father was like. Sorry if I've gone off on a tangent.
No, you're good. I remembered as soon as you started talking about it.
And little things like that in the making of documentary is great. But yeah, so we're up to the scene where he's basically got nowhere to go now, Richard. It looks like everything's pointing, like evidence-wise, is pointing towards him.
Right.
But then Rusk goes and does this fucking evil thing, right? Like, invites him to his flat. He says, I'll look after you, I'll keep you covered, like. And then he goes and plants evidence.
Right.
In his bag, phones the cops, and like I said, this will be kind of a few spoilers,
we did skip a scene that's probably one of the
go for it.
The scene with after I'm not going to say who it is, but he murders a woman like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And he puts her in a potato truck, like in a potato bag.
Right.
And then he remembers, like he's looking for he's got like this little pin that's like a signature piece of jewelry that's on he wears it on every suit. And then he remembers that he thinks, well, damn, it's got to be she snatched it off his hand while he was attacking her. So he's got to go back to the potato truck. And then while he's looking for her through all the potato bags and shit, the truck takes off, and
it is brilliant scene.
It's done in a way because you're kind of like, it kind of makes this is a piece of shit. You want him to get caught, but at the same time in that scene, the suspense is built like you don't want him to get. It's weird how it works. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, when he's doing the scene where he forget, he's kind of looking for his. Necktie. What is it? It's kind of
pin, it's like a pin with his initial on it, right?
Yeah, but Hitchcock does something brilliantly. He does like a flashback to where you can see the victim grabbing.
Yep.
Genius again. But the whole thing in the lorry, there's even like humor in there, where this murdered woman's foot comes out and kind of almost hits him in the head. And
there's this dark humor, jet black dark humor, man. It's holy shit.
That's the type of humor I like in a thriller, though. It's the humor in this is not jarring. Like some of Dario Argento stuff is kind of jarring. This is just done subtle, but you'll know straight away when you're watching it. It's just subtly put in there. But
and he's prying her
what
hand,
a scene that is.
Because that pin's in her hand, so he's got to pry her hands. The rigor mortis is set in, so he actually snaps. He's got to break her finger. It sounds like. Yeah,
he does. I think he breaks 2 fingers, and it's
to get the pin.
Like you hear the snap, and you're like, "Fuck, man!"
Yeah,
it's nasty shit. But
really and I think
he kind of gets lucky as well, doesn't he? The way he gets out of that situation as well.
Yeah, you're like, what the hell, man? And then he he's dirty as shit, and then but that comes into play too.
Yeah.
Later on,
because you're thinking at this point, this guy's got away with murder once, and he's kind of almost got caught, but gets away with it again.
Well, he's been committing them though.
Yeah. So
Right.
we don't even know how many at this point. You know, I
Right.
don't think it's ever mentioned how many there was before, but we know up to this point there's at least 3.
At least 3, yeah.
But the way he double crosses Richard then is, man, it's
Right.
brutal, man. The way he does it.
Yeah. Well,
'cause
he's
he
his
phones the
alibi.
police. Yeah.
Basically.
But he completely double crosses him, phones the police, plants all the evidence, like, you know, from the
Right.
murder victims into Richard's bag. And like this Richard, then I think they even go straight to like a scene in the court, don't they? Where he gets put away for like 25 years.
He gets life, right?
Yeah, life imprisonment. I think a minimum of 25 years or something.
Right. Yeah.
And then you're thinking, I don't know about you, but when the first time I watched this, you're thinking, well, where's this gonna go now? You know?
Mhm.
I don't think we should say anymore. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I don't want to spoil it all the way.
Because the ending is absolutely brilliant.
It really is. It's like, holy shit, you know, like kind of moment. You're like, damn, man, that's messed up. But then,
it really
I'm not
is,
gonna say.
Yeah.
We could touch on the lead inspector and his wife, you know.
Right, I've got a different view on this to you, I think, because there is humor in there in this, which I think I kind of understood when I watched the documentary, because they do explain it a little bit.
Right.
But I found it when I watched it the first time, like even the second time, quite jarring because I didn't think it went with the film.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, I think it was actually,
it was to lighten the blows, I think. And also, even though she's like, you know, not the smartest, but she's got it figured out the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what the hell? Like, so.
I mean, that's kind of a joke as well, you know, to say that she's more knowledgeable than the police inspector. Basically, she can work, like you say, she can work.
She's a gourmet cook, but it's shit that's nothing that you want to eat. So
no, it does go on a bit, mind some of those scenes with the food. They could have maybe tightened it a little bit, but I can understand why it's in there now. When I read, you know, when I went back, to watch the documentary, they explain it a little bit more. But yeah, I got quite a bit on the background on that. But I mean, this film, I think, is even now is like vastly underrated. I don't know if people don't mention it because of the rape scene, because this film don't get mentioned a lot at all, really.
Yeah.
And I know Psycho, obviously, you know, and all his other films kind of are
Rear Window, Vertigo.
Yeah.
All that gets mentioned all the time.
But this should get mentioned more, certainly in the likes of the Giallo realm, like a UK Giallo film, basically, and even works as a slasher film to some degree, like a proto slasher.
That was another thing with Hitchcock too, though. You notice, like, most of the murders in his films are done by strangulation. You know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, can you imagine though? Sorry, Dirk. Can you imagine that he's only filmed one murder in this film? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like 10 years later, the Friday the 13th crowd, they wouldn't have fucking, there's no way they would have settled for that. You know, they wanted more and more gore, more murder. But the way it's done, like I mentioned earlier in this, is just to maximum effect. Like, but sorry, Dirk, what was you going to say? Sorry.
Oh, you're good, man. You're fine. I was just, I was going to mention, let's see. There was a, well, like he says, like there's a quote from Hitchcock where he says something about along the lines of, there's a difference between surprise. What is it? Suspense. There's a difference between suspense and surprise. And yet, and many pictures continually confuse the two. Like,
right. Yeah.
So I think he's speaking on like jump scare shit.
Yeah.
And he also speaking on when you actually see whatever it is, like when you actually see what it is, it's no longer scary. The suspense is gone. It's the build up to the suspense. And he was the master of it. I mean,
and again, showing who the killer is early on.
Right.
There's only most people wouldn't be able to sustain that throughout the whole film.
There's still many questions.
Yeah,
that's what keeps you watching. So
it's a masterclass. Honestly, if anyone, even now, if I was trying to get into filmmaking of any kind, like this, I would go back to this and just try and replicate it. I don't think anyone ever will. I'm surprised there's not even a remake, to be honest. But so I've got some stuff. I don't know if you
go ahead, man.
Yeah, so this is from the book Goodbye Piccadilly, Farewell Leicester Square,
right,
which was by Arthur LeBurn, I believe. The screenplay is actually by Anthony Schaffer. I think Dirk mentioned that earlier. But Hitchcock actually phoned him up on New Year's Eve about doing the film. And he said within like an hour of a phone call with Hitchcock, he'd send him the book and everything, because he wanted him to do the film. Alma, Hitchcock's wife, during the making of this film, had like a stroke.
Oh, yeah.
But it was kind of like a minor stroke, which was kind of like funny, really, because she went on and survived him in the end. She lived longer than him. But even he had like a pacemaker at this point, Hitchcock, so he had heart problems himself. So trying to think now. He did do 2 shots with his cameo in this one as well. I don't know if you noticed at the start.
Yeah.
So he's on the riverbank, and then they show him in like a bowler hat. I think it's a bowler hat. But the whole thing with the London thing in this is amazing, like the scenery and like it just captures London in like.
I mean, I have no idea, but I can just imagine that.
You've probably seen some of it with Lizard in a Woman's Skin and some of the Giallo films that were based in London, so you've got kind of an idea.
Right. And that aerial shot, how the film starts.
Amazing.
So, this is definitely him getting back to his roots. We're not like extremely well versed in Hitchcock, but we definitely want to be. So if anybody is watching this in the future, got any comments, or you want to touch on something that we might have missed, let us know.
Let us know what films you want us to cover as well. Like if you want us to do Rebecca, or any of his other films.
Spellbound, The Lady Vanishes,
Shadow of a Doubt. There's 4 that I definitely want to cover at some point.
Notorious, I wouldn't mind either.
I've heard that as well. That's definitely got like horror elements.
Right.
The guy John Finch who played Richard Blaney, I think was quite weird, right? So the documentary was obviously filmed quite a long time after the film, but he looks younger in the documentary than he does in the film. And I know he's got a mustache, he shaved all that off, but it's weird because he looks younger than he, I don't know. I haven't looked him up on IMDb. I don't know if he's passed away now, probably. In the documentary, it's weird. Yeah.
Let me catch the chat right quick.
Yeah.
We got Wild Wrangler in here, man.
Hey, Wrangler.
Sorry, I kind of got.
No, it's my bad as well. We've been talking a little bit too much.
Right. He says, "Hey, Darren, hey, Dirk and Darren. Also, hello to the chat." Yeah, man. Everybody's saying,
"Thanks for coming."
Hey. Yeah, man. Appreciate you coming by. He says, Dirk and Darren, have y'all seen Rebecca 1940 by Hitchcock? No, but
I haven't, but it's one that's been on my list forever.
Right. Yeah. That's Ingrid Bergman too, right?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, because they did a remake recently. They did 2 remakes, I think, of that. There's one remake that came out last year. But like I said to Dirk earlier, the Daphne du Maurier short story that came from her story.
Yeah.
And because she did Don't Look Now, I'm kind of really interested. But I've heard Rebecca is really dark as well. Got that.
We got Texas. We got Texas in the house, man.
Hey, Tex.
Hey, Panel of Pain. What's going on, man?
Yeah, good to have you here, Tex. I know he's probably got a stream of Gizmo coming up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they got there's something rotten in the collection. I work.
Yeah, we don't want to go on too much.
So
sorry, Dick. I was going to say we don't want to go on too long because we don't want to, you know, take.
Yeah, I don't want to cut into his thing,
yeah,
his stream. But yeah, there was no way I could do that and do this, and I just haven't had a lot of time this week. So, but man, I appreciate everybody.
Wrangler says,
what?
Sorry, Dirk. I was going to say, Wild Wrangler says Rebecca and Spellbound. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, Rebecca and Spellbound. Yeah, man.
We'll put them on the list. We'll put them on the list.
Definitely. I want to check out The Lodger too. I know it's a silent film, but I'm really intrigued by that. I saw some clips of that, and
you will like that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see
the atmosphere
The Lodger
and the fog and all that. Yeah.
Right, Jack the Ripper plot with the fog, and that's gonna be cool. But man, I appreciate everybody jumping in the chat, stopping by, listening. If you're seeing this in the future, let us know what you think, what you don't think, what we got right, what we got wrong. Let us know all that shit. Hit the like, subscribe if you want to, you know, no pressure. But
yeah, just generally just good to see everyone here, like, you know.
Yeah, man.
Any comments in future and all that? Yeah, just
you got Sean in here. Hey, good evening, guys. What's going on, man?
Hey, Sean. These things, man.
Oh yeah. And but yeah, it's cool, man, digging into some of this old Hitchcock though, because you know there's so much I didn't know. There's so much more I need to learn, and
I mean, I've learned loads just by doing these free films.
Just doing this one stream. Yeah.
Because Frenzy, I've always known about and watched before, but I've never dug deep into it. So thanks, Bliss. That make you know, I love comments like that. It makes it all worthwhile, you know.
Yeah, appreciate it, Blissful. And he says, take care and have a good night. You do as well.
And you, Sean. And you.
Yeah, man. And everybody's saying hey. And we're gonna get up out of here. I think Gizmo's got a stream going on.
Yeah, literally in 2 minutes, I think.
Later on tonight, Dead Pit. Uncle Bill's got a Exploit Nation stream coming on.
Yeah.
He's gonna be covering some blaxploitation, so y'all check that out. And but yeah, y'all don't forget to
No, don't worry, Franz.
All right, man. Y'all do all that, or don't, you know, I don't know. But we're gonna get out of here, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we'll be back. We're gonna skip next week. I will be doing the Coffin Joe stream with Brian Goes Blue and Coco too, but it's only gonna be Brian. But and we'll be doing that next week. So
but we should be back in 2 weeks on the Saturday again, hopefully.
Right. We're gonna come back with some Sergio Martino.
3 bangers as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah,
man. But appreciate it again, everybody, and y'all have a good night. Have a great week. And don't forget to look under your beds.
Bye, guys.
Take care.